Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful afternoon for our virtual tour of the Regional Recycled Water Advanced Purification Center. We're really excited to have you here today. While we are waiting for others to join, we're going to go ahead and launch a poll. We'd like to just know what your background is. It gives us an idea of what to address during the tour. So are you new to recycled water and water reuse? Are you an expert? Are you somewhere in between? Please take a minute to let us know. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll in about 20 seconds. So if you haven't voted yet, if you could just take a minute to go ahead and let us know your background and your understanding of the advanced purification process. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll, share the results here. And it looks like most of you are familiar, but still feel like you have a lot to learn. A few of you know quite a bit. A couple of you are completely new to this. This tour is an introductory tour, so we will kind of explain the basics and build up from there. We also do have an opportunity for all of you to ask us questions. So if you do have more in-depth questions, we love those and we absolutely welcome them. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Rupam Soni. I work at the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California in our External Affairs Group, and I'm going to be one of your tour guides today, along with my colleague Yvonne Gonzalez, who you'll hear from in just a minute or so here. We're really excited to show you our facility. We also have a few other people online with us today. You won't hear from them, but they're making sure that everything goes smoothly. And that's Monica, Steve, and Twani. So if you do have any technical issues, please feel free to put anything into the chat and they can help you out. Also, if you have any questions, we love questions. So go ahead and you can put those in the chat, or you can use the Q&A to ask your questions as well. We also like to hear live voices. That's always fun when we're working from home and during a pandemic. So if you're in a place where you can ask your question out loud, if you want to just go ahead and raise your hand or put that into the chat that you'd like to ask your question out loud, then we can go ahead and unmute you and you can ask us all the questions you'd like. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Yvonne, and she's going to take over. I also want to mention one more thing. We are right now live streaming this on YouTube and just wanted you to be aware of that. So with that, it's all yours, Yvonne.
Thanks, Rupam. So here we have an outline of what we're going to cover. We're going to start with an overview of Metropolitan and then the Regional Recycled Water Program. And then we're going to virtually tour the Regional Recycled Water Advanced Purification Center. And this will be in the form of slides, photos, and videos. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up. So the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California is the nation's largest water wholesaler. We provide water to the area that's covered in the map, as you can see, from San Diego up to Ventura and as far east as Riverside. In total, we cover 6 counties. And within our service area, we have 19 million people. For reference, it's about the size of the state of New York. Our region covers 5,200 square miles, and we provide water to our 26 member agencies, which you can also identify on the map. Our region has a $1 trillion economy, making it the 13th largest economy of the world. So now let's take a look at our water supply here in Southern California. Metropolitan was formed back in 1928 to bring water from the Colorado River because of our rapidly growing region. In the 1930s, during the height of the Depression, through mountains and deserts, we constructed the 242 miles of what is now the Colorado River aqueduct to bring water here to Southern California. Then after World War II, the region grew even more and we needed an additional water supply. So Metropolitan invested in the State Water Project, and this brings water from Northern California to Southern California via the California Aqueduct. Today, our region continues to advance, and we've invested in conservation and local supplies. You may have seen or even participated in our conservation programs. We offer rebates for water saving devices for your landscape or drought tolerant plants. And we've also invested in local water supply projects using water sources that are available here in Southern California, like groundwater, recycled water, seawater. And generally what we've done is invested in those projects through our member agencies. But for the first time, Metropolitan is investing in its own project. We're partnering with the Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts, and our project is called the Regional Recycled Water Program. And here is a short video of our program.
Planning for future water supplies in sunny and vibrant Southern California requires thinking big. With droughts and the effects of climate change, we need new sustainable water sources that are available to us rain or shine. A solution? Recycled water. While the Southland is already a leader in using recycled water, there is more that can be done. A good example is the Sanitation District's Joint Water Pollution Control Plant in Carson. Here, water from homes, businesses, and industry is cleaned and released to the ocean. But now, there's a plan to put this water to better use, purifying it so it can be used again. The plan is a partnership between the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California and the Sanitation Districts of Los Angeles County to create a new regional recycled water program. Big agencies, big thinking.
All right. And as you heard in the video, we're all water consumers in our homes, businesses, industries. That water is called wastewater, and it flows to a wastewater treatment facility. So in Los Angeles County, most of that water goes to the Sanitation District's Joint Water Pollution Control Plant, where it's cleaned and then it goes out into the ocean. This program would take that clean water and send it to an advanced water treatment facility where it would be further purified. And then that water could be used to replenish basins with underground water. And it could provide water to industries, and it can also be a new source of water into Metropolitan's water treatment plants that eventually go out through Metropolitan's water delivery system. So let's look at this in terms of numbers. The program could provide 150 million gallons per day, or 168,000 acre feet of water per year. So if you're wondering what an acre foot of water is, it's just that, an acre in area, about the size of a football field, 1 foot high. So it equals to about 326,000 gallons of water, and that would be enough for 3 homes for 1 year. So 168,000 acre feet would be enough for 500,000 homes. This would be the largest program of its kind in the world. So we're calling it the Regional Recycled Water Program because it really is regional. In the map, you can see what the program would cover. The advanced water treatment facility that we would construct would be right next to the sanitation districts, right down there on the left. The purified water from the plant would then go out to 4 groundwater basins in Los Angeles and Orange counties. The West Coast Basin, Central Basin, Orange County Basin, and the main San Gabriel Basin, which is about 37 miles away from the treatment center. Water can also be provided to industries, and these are industries that are located near the facility. And as regulations are developed, we can send this water to 2 of Metropolitan's water treatment plants to eventually go through the water treatment system and then out to delivery. And these 2 treatment plants, you can see there are the Weymouth water treatment plant in Laverne and Demer water treatment plant located in Yorba Linda. And then eventually that water would go out to our member agencies. So in this map, we have spreading grounds. So this is a picture of what a spreading ground is. It's a large open area where we can send purified water. The soil conditions at these spreading grounds make it easy for the water to soak into the ground and become part of the water basin. And this is a short bird's eye view video of what the facility could ultimately look like. And again, it would be the largest of its kind in the world. So before I hand it over to Rupa, I want to emphasize the 3 uses of purified water for the program. Purified water can help replenish groundwater basins in Los Angeles and Orange counties. In Southern California, we rely heavily on our groundwater basins. They provide us with about 30% of our water supplies, and this is really an opportunity to refill them. We would provide water to industries, and these are industries that use a lot of water in their process. And again, this can be a new source of water into Metropolitan's water treatment plants. There are regulations for this that are expected to come out in 2023 that would allow us to send that water to these treatment plants that would mix in water from Colorado River, Northern California, and then go through the water treatment process and out through the delivery system to our member agencies. So with that, Rupam will talk more about the Regional Recycled Water Advanced Purification Center.
Great, thank you, Yvonne. Let me go ahead and get up some slides that I've prepared here. So before we get into our virtual tour of the Advanced Purification Center, I just wanted to give you an update on some major progress that we've made on the program over the past few months. In November, our board decided to move forward with the environmental planning for the program. So we're working on that now. And so that's really exciting that we continue to progress this program and continue to move forward with that. With that board action to get started on the environmental planning also came an enhanced agreement with our project partners, the LA County Sanitation Districts. So our partnership also now is furthering too, and they're helping us with all kinds of technical work, as well as funding towards the program. We also have partnerships with many, many other entities too. Some of the groundwater basin managers who Yvonne pointed out in the map. They're our partners on the program. We've signed letters of intent working with them. The LA Department of Water and Power, we have our letter of intent with them as well. They are also planning for a regional recycled water program in the city of LA area. And so we're looking at ways we can work together on both of our programs. And then another partnership that we have is with the Southern Nevada Water Authority. And we signed an agreement with them. They are providing us with some funding for our environmental planning for this program. We've worked with them for many, many years on Colorado River issues, and they're interested in helping us with this program because maybe that will allow them to utilize more of the water on the Colorado River, which has been in a long-term drought. So all kinds of partnerships. We're also talking to the Central Arizona Project for a similar type partnership. So really exciting stuff. This project does not just benefit our Southern California region, but truly the Southwest. So here's a quick look at our project schedule. As I mentioned before, our board voted in November to move forward with environmental planning. That is about a 2 to 3 year process. So we're looking at doing that for these next few years. Then in 2024, if our board approves to move forward with it, we would start with design and construction. And then 2032, the project would be operational. So a few years to go. Everyone always asks us about the cost for this project, so I just wanted to highlight what those were. Our capital costs are estimated at $3.4 billion, and our annual operating and maintenance costs are estimated at $129 million. And so that amounts to about just over $1,800 per acre foot of water. And you can see how this compares to other water sources, other local water sources. So that's about average for recycled water. And you can see that some of the other, groundwater recovery is a little bit less than that, but it's about average for all the other local water sources as well too, such as stormwater and seawater desalination. And these costs are just like what we estimate the cost to be without any kind of funding. So this doesn't take into account any funds we might get from our project partners or grant funds or low-cost loans. And we're looking to go after all of that. We have some of that already for our demonstration facility and expect to get more for the full program. And we will be creating a lot of jobs through the construction and operation of this program. Okay, so now we're going to start on our virtual tour portion. What I'll be doing is sharing with you photos and videos, and I have equipment samples. You can see one behind me here. I have water samples and guiding you through the facility this way. I am currently right now actually at the facility. We have a learning center at the Regional Recycled Water Advanced Purification Center that we put in a couple years ago. The goal of this learning center was to have a place to welcome people that were interested in learning more. And since the pandemic, we're doing all of this virtually, but I hope that sometime soon, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, we can have you come in person and be able to welcome you in here and see this facility. So with that, let's go ahead and start with a video.
Welcome to the Regional Recycled Water Advanced Purification Center, a demonstration facility that could become one of the largest advanced water treatment plants to recycle water in the world. Located on the campus of the Los Angeles County Sanitation District's Joint Water Pollution Control Plant in Carson, the site features a learning center, operations trailer, and the demonstration plant, which is testing a 3-step purification process using proven technology. Step 1. Membrane bioreactors. Helpful microorganisms remove ammonia and other forms of nitrogen, while membranes filter any remaining particles. Step 2. Reverse osmosis. The core of the purification process, water is pushed through membranes to remove over 99% of all impurities. Step 3. Ultraviolet light and advanced oxidation. Water passes through ultraviolet light charged with a powerful oxidant to destroy any remaining viruses and trace chemical compounds. The end result is purified water that is safe to use. Recycled, purified. Welcome to the Regional Recycled Water.
Okay, so as you saw in the video, what we're doing here at the Regional Recycled Water Advanced Purification Center is testing an innovative purification process to take that cleaned wastewater and turn it into a purified drinking water source. And our goal is to get regulatory approval of the process. Again, doing that all here at this demonstration facility. The nice thing about this demonstration facility is it has full-scale units. And so that allows us to get all the data we need, engineering, design parameters, operational criteria, costs for a full-scale program. And then the other thing, and my favorite thing we use this facility for, is to showcase our program and the purification process to really let people know what we're doing here and to get support and acceptance of the project. So what you see here is a drone photograph of the site. And then if you take a closer look, this is it's kind of like taking the canopy off of our facility. And we have a 3-step purification process. So our first step, as you heard in the video, is membrane bioreactors. Our second step is reverse osmosis. And then the third step that we have is ultraviolet disinfection and advanced oxidation. So this image you're going to continue to see. We're going to use this as a guide as we go through the facility and learn about each purification process, how it works, what it does, and how we get purified water at the end. So we start with our source water, which is already cleaned wastewater from the Sanitation District's Joint Water Pollution Control Plant. And let's see, here is a sample of what the water looks like when we get it. So it's been cleaned. There's definitely an opportunity to clean it even more, and we'll talk about how we do that. So we're going to follow the flow of the water through the purification process. So the sanitation districts have constructed a line for us that sends 500,000 gallons of water a day to our facility. You can see that line coming over, and our first stop here is going to be at the membrane bioreactors. So let's take a look at what they look like. The membrane bioreactors consist of biological process tanks, as well as membrane tanks. So you see the biological process tanks here. You can see the long concrete tank on the top picture. And if you take a closer look inside the tank, you can see the bottom two pictures. You can see what it looks like. So these tanks have microorganisms that have been added to the water. And the microorganisms use our source water as a food source for them. So they remove the organic matter in the water, and they also remove the nitrogen particles that are in the water. So there's a lot of ammonia in the water, and they help remove that. These are aerobic microorganisms, so they need air to survive. So you can see all these bubbles that are in the tank. We're bubbling air through to give the microorganisms the right conditions, so they can go ahead and remove that any organic matter remaining in the water, as well as that nitrogen. And then after the water has spent some time, a couple hours in these biological process tanks, moves on to the membrane tanks. And I have a short video here. Our staff the other day was working on the membranes, and so they lifted them out of the membrane tanks. I'm going to show you this so you can take a look and see what these membranes look like. You can see there's lots of membranes. They call those membrane cassettes. There's a number of them. I have a few membranes here cut up, but this is what the membranes look like. If you take a closer look, I haven't eaten a big lunch or anything, so I'm getting hungry. They remind me of spaghetti. They're called hollow fiber membranes. So they have a little hole. It's hard to see even for me as I'm staring at them. Probably hard to see over the camera, but they have a tiny hole in the middle. They also have tiny holes all along the outside of these membranes. When I say tiny, it's 0.03 micrometers in diameter, and a micrometer is 1/1000th of a millimeter. So really tiny holes. And what we do is we apply a vacuum. And what it does is it sucks the water through the tiny holes on the outside into the inside of the membrane. Any particles that are in the water, they will get stuck outside the membrane. They won't make it through those tiny holes, but the water molecules do make it inside. And then we collect that water, and it's ready for the next step in the purification process. Now, the membrane bioreactors is the innovative part of our purification process. And let me tell you why. Oops, let's go to the next. Here we go. Membrane bioreactors, they've been around for a while, but they've used mostly in wastewater treatment. There is very limited use of them in water reuse. Especially in purifying water that may be eventually used for drinking. There's some work that's been done in Australia. Singapore has done some work. We initially, when we started this project, we did some pilot studies with the sanitation districts, and we also looked at membrane bioreactors too. They all have shown promising results. And so what we're doing here is we're testing them to see, does it in fact work? Can we get enough data to show that this is an effective process? And we're working with our regulators to gather all this data and share that information with them. And once they've approved it, then this membrane bioreactor process can be used for water reuse anywhere in California. And then the data can be applied all across the globe. And the reason we're looking at membrane bioreactors is they're a twofer. They're able to remove the nitrogen from the water, and then those tiny particles that might be in the water down to 1/100th of a grain of sand. So really tiny particles. And because they can do both of those things or remove both of those things, they help increase efficiency and save costs. Now, this is what the water looks like when it comes out of the membrane bioreactors. So it's getting a little bit cleaner. And now let's take a look, go back to our map here and take, oh, actually, one more slide before we go back to that map. A quick summary here of our membrane bioreactors. Again, they're really effective at removing ammonia and other forms of nitrogen. They also remove microorganisms and tiny particles down to 1/100th of a grain of sand. So that those biological process tanks taking care of the ammonia, and then the membrane filters taking care of those tiny particles. This is the longest part of our purification process, 2 to 3 hours in length. Everything else is on the order of minutes or even seconds. And then these membranes, and I have a sample of the membranes back here too, the membrane cassettes, but these membranes, when they collect the materials on the outside, it happens pretty quickly. Materials gather up pretty quickly, so they need to be cleaned every 15 minutes or so, pretty frequently. And the process is called relaxation. We run air through the membrane fibers, and what it does is it causes all those things that might have collected on top of the membranes to fall off. And then the membranes are ready to go and move again. Now, these membrane fibers are expected to last about 10 years. That's what the manufacturers say. However, as part of our testing process, we actually have to go through and we cut the membrane fibers. So we started doing that a few months ago, and we're continuing to cut more and more fibers. And what it does is it just shows what happens to the resulting water quality. And it's part of that testing process and part of getting regulatory approval for our purification process. Okay, now back to our map. So here we are at our membrane bioreactors. We're now ready for our next step. So the water goes to our reverse osmosis process. And let's take a closer look to see how that works. So reverse osmosis is really the workhorse of this purification process. In the top right corner, you can see the pictures of the reverse osmosis. Those cylinders are where our reverse osmosis membranes are housed, and each cylinder has about 7 elements. In the picture on the right, on the bottom right, that's about half an element cut open. And I have that right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it. And I don't know if you can see this, but the membrane has many layers here. And it also has this center tubing here. So the way this works is we apply a really high pressure on the water as it goes through these membrane fibers. And what it does is it forces all the water molecules to go through these different layers and end up in the middle. And then any particles and materials would get stuck in these different layers. So the center here, this is called the permeate. It's the water that makes it through. All the water particles that get stuck in here, that's called the concentrate. We collect the concentrate. And then the permeate, what we do with it is we send it through the reverse osmosis membranes again. And that's just to maximize the amount of materials we remove from the water. So that's the way that works. So these reverse osmosis membranes, I mentioned that's the workhorse of the purification process. It's able to remove over 99% of the materials that might be in the water. Really effective at removing salts from the water, also microorganisms. So here you see some overlap. The membrane bioreactors are also great at moving microorganisms that may be in the water. And there's overlap and redundancy throughout the whole purification process. And that's just to make sure that we truly are producing purified water that can be used again. It's also very effective at removing nitrogen, viruses, very important in our COVID-19 world today, organic matter, pharmaceuticals, PFAS chemicals. Those are the chemicals you may have heard about in the news quite a bit. Referred to as forever chemicals because they last in the environment for a really long time, but they're the chemicals that you find in nonstick pans and in Teflon. And then particles and compounds down to the molecular level. So in the membrane bioreactors, we were removing things down to the microscopic level. And now here we're looking at molecules that we're able to remove. So it's pretty remarkable. Each step builds upon the other. And reverse osmosis has been around for a while. It's been around since the 1950s in commercial applications. It's used a lot to remove salt from seawater. So if you ever go to a desalination facility, you'll see reverse osmosis there. It's also used by many bottled water companies to further purify water. If you go into a water store and you purchase water, lots of times you will see reverse osmosis membranes there, purifying tap water. I mentioned it's a really high pressure system that we apply a very high pressure to send the water through the reverse osmosis membranes. And that pressure is anywhere from like 150 pounds per square inch to 180 pounds per square inch. That's the equivalent of carrying an elephant in the palm of your hand. So imagine what that might feel like, and you can imagine what that pressure is. We talked about how we clean the membranes in the membrane bioreactors every 15 minutes. These membranes we clean every few months, about every 6 months or so. And that's because the water is already so clean as it comes into the reverse osmosis membranes. So we don't have the need to clean these membranes all the time. And this is what our water sample looks like after reverse osmosis. And to get the full effect, I'm going to do the before. So this is, let's see, our source water, what we're starting with, the start of the purification process, and now after reverse osmosis. So you already see a difference. So with that, let's go to our third and final step, ultraviolet disinfection and advanced oxidation. And this is our final polishing step. So again, we'll follow the flow of the water as it continues on here. And let's take a closer look. This is what our ultraviolet advanced oxidation reactor looks like. Here, the picture on the left, and I have a sample of it here. So in my equipment sample, I just have one ultraviolet light tube, but our unit, our reactor here has 8 of these tubes. And as you all know, ultraviolet light is a great disinfectant. It's great at destroying any germs, any viruses, any bacteria that might be, microorganisms that might be remaining in the water. What we do, though, is we also combine that ultraviolet light with a powerful oxidant. So either hydrogen peroxide or sodium hypochlorite, which is bleach. And when the powerful oxidant combines with that UV light, it forms these powerful molecules called radicals. And these radicals go around and they destroy any bonds of any chemical compounds that might be remaining in the water. This is all done very quickly in a matter of 45 seconds or so. And the water, once it's done, is near distilled in quality. So let's see, I have another sample of what the water looks like for you all to take a look. So this is our final water. And it's gotten very clean. So a quick summary here, ultraviolet light and advanced oxidation are really effective at removing viruses and microorganisms, and also very low levels of organics and other chemicals that might be remaining in the water. Again, a very quick process, only takes a matter of about 45 seconds or so. And the wavelength, the light that we're using here has a wavelength of 254 nanometers. It is UVC light, and it is more powerful than any sunlight we see here on Earth. Even on the day that you get the worst sunburn, that's just UVA and UVB light. And UVC light is much more powerful than that. And so you may have heard of ultraviolet light for disinfecting a lot. It's used to disinfect a lot of different surfaces. It's used heavily by hospitals to sterilize facilities. It's used in food manufacturing to sterilize surfaces and facilities as well too. And then we use it here in the water industry. Now we have a team of scientists and engineers that work here on site, that they are collecting our water quality samples throughout the whole purification process. So after each step, at the end of the purification process, ensuring that each process is working the way it's supposed to, and that we're getting water that meets the highest water quality standards. So we have inline instruments that help us out with some measurements. Others, we're collecting those samples and testing the water in our many labs that we have here on site, as well as our state-of-the-art water quality lab that we have in Laverne. And this is a picture of our testing and monitoring plan that we're following. So if you're interested in more on the water quality elements that we're doing here on site. This plan is available on our website too, and you're welcome to download it and take a look. We're monitoring for hundreds and hundreds of different things, from simple things like pH and temperature to organic and chemical compounds that have I don't know, a bunch of consonants in their names and you can't pronounce them. So a full range of things that we're testing for here on site to ensure that this purification process works. All right, so again, this purification process takes I'm getting my water samples ready here, takes our source water, which is already cleaned wastewater, produces highly purified water that's near distilled in qualities. You can again see the difference here and all in a matter of a couple hours or so. This water is actually so pure that right now this is a test facility. So all the water that we've purified goes back to the Sanitation District's Joint Water Pollution Control Plant and back into the wastewater treatment process. We're not using any of the water. But when we get to a point where we would be using this water, we would actually have to add minerals back into the water. That's how pure it is, because if we put the water as is into a pipe, the pipe material would leach into the water. Again, shows you how pure this water is. As Yvonne had mentioned, we can use this water to help replenish our groundwater basins, to provide a new supply to Metropolitan's water treatment plants, and also for industrial uses, to ensure that our region has a reliable water supply for generations to come. So we're really excited to be able to talk to you about this facility as well as this program. And I see that we might have some questions. And I see Yvonne here. So Yvonne, do we have any questions?
There we go. Now you can hear me.
Yes.
We do have a few questions. Let me see if Carrie is still on. Carrie, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
I think she had to hop off.
Okay, so I'll ask it for her. She's asking, when will cities be encouraged to create rules that all new buildings must have underground cisterns to catch rainwater and use solar panels?
Yeah, it's amazing the progress we've made with sustainability and especially sustainability in buildings. Some cities have requirements like that, others don't. And if you're interested in having your city put in those kinds of requirements, you definitely want to reach out to them and let them know of your interest in that. So they know that their constituents would like to see regulations like that.
Okay. Then we have Dennis asking, how similar is the Regional Recycled Center to the Edward C. Little facility in El Segundo?
Yeah, great question. It is very similar. We both facilities produce recycled water. The Edward C. Little recycling facility is a full facility. So ours is just a demonstration facility at this point. We're not using the water yet. They are using it, but they also produce purified recycled water. Their water is also used for groundwater replenishment, like our project will be. They also use it for industrial uses. They also use it for things like irrigation, but we will be doing a lot more of reusing it, where it will eventually become a part of our drinking water supply. So that's a little bit different.
Okay.
But similar purification processes too.
All right. And there's another question. Where is the facility ultimately going to be built?
That's a great question. So we are exploring that right now. We will continue to explore it as part of our environmental planning process, a site for our full-scale facility. Right now, the sanitation districts have told us that we could use a portion of their property here at the Joint Water Pollution Control Plant. So our demonstration facility is on their property, and there's land where this demonstration facility is, as well as just adjacent to it that we can use. So we're looking at that site and as well as other sites as well too. So here in Carson.
Okay. And we have Manny asking, do you anticipate including other out-of-state water authorities?
So Manny, we're open to other partnerships with other agencies beyond Southern Nevada Water Authority. I mentioned we have a letter of agreement already with or not a letter of agreement, a letter of intent with the Central Arizona Project. And if there are other agencies that are interested in unique partnerships with us, we are always open to that.
Okay. And then Dan is asking, are there any plans for a test facility in San Diego?
Yeah, San Diego has a couple of facilities right now, a couple of demonstration facilities. There's a project called Pure Water San Diego that's looking at providing recycled water for the city of San Diego. Their test facility is up and running. It's been running for a few years. And then they are, I believe, currently in design or construction. They're moving forward with a full-scale facility. And the same thing, there's one called the East County Advanced Purification Center, also a demonstration facility, and they are also moving forward with a full-scale facility.
Okay, and I believe we have a question. We have a raised hand from Maury.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and unmute Maury, and then after that, we do have a few on YouTube, I believe, as well.
Okay.
So, Maury.
Oh, great.
Maury, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. That was an excellent tour. Thank you very much. I was wondering how a city, like I'm from Pasadena, how we become identified as partners. What is it that the city of Pasadena or any other city can do to show that it's a partner with the sanitation district and Los Angeles?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're a water wholesaler, Metropolitan is, and Pasadena Water and Power is one of our member agencies. And just as being a member agency, you are automatically a partner in this program. So that's the good news. And then also in the Pasadena area, there's one of the groundwater basin there is the main San Gabriel Basin, and we are working with the main San Gabriel water master who manages the groundwater basin there as well too. So those are the ways we're working with Pasadena and the nearby areas around there. And then if you do want to connect, Yvonne and I are going to put up our emails afterwards. So if you want to continue to connect with us, like if there's stakeholders in Pasadena, you'd like to reach out to us and let them know what we're doing and how we can continue to work together, we're happy to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, and I believe we have some questions on YouTube.
Yeah, so Rupam Thomas on YouTube, he has several questions. His first one is there revenue bond funding? How much of the cost is shared by Metropolitan member agencies versus wholesale customers? He says that MWD has a history of passing on costs unnecessarily to member agencies.
Yeah, so right now we have not determined yet how we are going to handle the costs yet for this program. So this will be a discussion that goes to our board, and our board will determine how we move forward. So there's a few ways of looking at this. It's sort of, so this project at 168,000 acre feet is about 10% of our current water demands. So, there's options where all of our member agencies help pay for this project, or whoever takes the water, so the groundwater basins, do they help pay for the project? Is it some sort of hybrid? There's a lot of different possibilities. We understand that anything that costs is tough. It's just this is important for water reliability, and we will continue to have discussions as we move forward with this program. And again, right now we are only committed to the environmental planning. After that, we will again approach our board, and at that time we'll have the conversation more about costs and talking about design and construction. And the environmental planning will also give us a better estimate of the costs of the program too.
So he also had a question about energy costs. Are there any energy costs for running the plant? And how do you get the upstream treated water to the treatment facilities and the spreading grounds?
Okay, great questions. So energy, you brought up my favorite fun fact. I see Yvonne smiling big because she knows how much I love this fun fact. So right now for our demonstration facility, the sanitation districts actually provides us with all the energy, and that energy is coming through their wastewater treatment process. So all the solids they collect in the wastewater treatment process, they also take in food waste here from big commercial facilities, things like stadiums and grocery warehouses and things like that. They collect all those solids and they send them to a process called anaerobic digesters, which they have here on site. And that anaerobic digester process is also a biological process, and it produces methane gas as a byproduct. And that methane gas is captured. It has a high energy potential. So what they do is they send it through turbines and they generate electricity, and they generate about 20 megawatts of electricity here, which is quite a bit. And it's enough to power this whole plant, including our demonstration facility. When we go to a full-scale facility, they intend to provide us with some of that power too. It won't be enough power for the full facility, and so then we would look at some other energy options, especially renewable energy options for the project to get the water upstream. So now this gets to part 2 of your question, which is how do we get the water to where it needs to go? So right from Carson to get to all those groundwater basins, we would be constructing a new pipeline, a new conveyance system to send that water to those groundwater basins and then potentially up to our Weymouth water treatment plant in Laverne. Then we have some existing infrastructure that connects our other, like our Deemer water treatment plant to our Weymouth plant too. So some existing, some new infrastructure.
He had one more question.
Sure.
It was about the Southern Nevada partnership, which you already mentioned, but he wanted to know, are they paying for this in exchange for Metropolitan giving up part of its claim on the Colorado allocation?
So right now what they're paying for is they're paying for some of our environmental planning costs, and they want to see, so they have a planning process that like helps them determine what their water demands are going to be in the future. And so by helping pay for our environmental planning costs and move our process along, what it allows them to do is get the data from our, like we get to see, is this program is it feasible? Does it make sense? Can we permit it? Are we good to go? And so it lets us move forward, and then it lets them move forward in terms of their planning to see if we can continue this partnership. And if, we actually have a copy of the agreement up on our website if you are interested in taking a look, but it's not giving up a part. Like if there's a drought and we want our portion of the water that's on the Colorado River, we get that portion. That's the way the language has been written, that it's in years of surplus that we would be able to share some of that water with the Southern Nevada Water Authority.
Okay, I can ask questions now. Where'd it go? Alexandra would like to know, what do you do with the waste materials you remove from the water during the different processes?
Yeah, so all that material right now, again, because this is a test facility, everything is going back to the sanitation district's joint water pollution control plant. So the clean water, as well as, the concentrate that's coming out of the reverse osmosis process, any of the other water. And so it's all going back there. Eventually, we are doing some testing on the water, on the concentrate, on that waste, to see what we can in fact do with that water. Like, can we send it out with the sanitation district's cleaned wastewater, the portion currently that goes out to the ocean? Can we send it out with that? Is there something else we can do with it? So those are all things we're determining here at our demonstration facility.
Okay, and there's another question from Nicholas. At this time of water shortages, can MWD find a use or uses for the project's water to be used in places where needed?
Yeah, so there's definitely a need for the water, Nicholas. And I think it's just right now we just have to, the water quality is very important, obviously. And so we just want to make sure that everything is safe for public health and for consumption before we move forward with implementing the project and using it of the water eventually. And once it is safe, we will go ahead and do that. And there's definitely a need to replenish our groundwater basins and to use the water for industrial use and other uses as well.
Okay, thank you, Rupam. I don't see any more questions on my side. If we have any more questions on YouTube?
We do not.
Okay.
All right, thank you all. Those were great questions. I really appreciate your engagement and your interest in this project.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us on our virtual tour. We hope you're going away with a better understanding of the purification process. And if you want more information, if we didn't get to your question or if you think of something else, you can find more information on our website there on your screen. And if you're looking for conservation information, you can go to bewaterwise.com. And you can also always email Rupam and me with any questions.
And I just wanted to add one more thing. If you are interested, we are doing this tour in Spanish this coming Thursday. Yvonne is leading the tour at 2:00. So if you are interested, or if you know anyone who may be interested, please feel free to share the information. We also do these tours monthly, so feel free to pass along the information to any of your friends, colleagues, family members that may be interested. And thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate your time and your engagement. Have a great afternoon.